Hey guys, I want to show you my recent changes to the prototype. The last time that I had shot video over here, I had a 10-inch pulley which matched the 10-inch pulley in the back over here, so I had a 1-to-1 ratio. So when you turn this thing 45 degrees, we were leaning 45 degrees all the way. And you could not handle it at all, and even with electric power steering it wouldn't work at all. Now I've got a 2.5 inch, so now we have a 4-to-1 ratio, which means that half of a turn, 180 degrees, will tilt the vehicle 45 degrees. So all the way to here. Right there shows it right there. Now what's interesting here is that even without the electric power steering, I can manhandle this thing. Now it's pretty stiff and wouldn't want to handle this thing like this on a normal vehicle, but what's comforting is to know that if the electric power steering goes out, I still can handle this thing. When you turn the electric power steering on right now, you can see how strong this thing is. It's amazing. And so that is amazing. I mean, it's plenty power over here to do what you need to do on this thing. In fact, I don't even need this much power, and I can turn it down a little bit where it feels like where I would want it for feedback for the steering. What I'm finding here is that the rake and the trail in the front wheel is really important for this. And when I was doing the testing on the other bicycle wheel over here, what I found was that the lighter rake angle over here, even all the way up to straight vertical, did far better for this free-to-caster arrangement. You get sharper turns, more responsive turns than when you lay it down to 28-30 degrees. This is at 28 degrees, which is very close to what the motorcycle was set at before. I tried to bring it up to a 20-inch over here, 20-degree angle. But what happens here is because of the configuration of the tree, that also reduces your trail. And the way that you actually measure trail is you go straight down with a level over here from your center, you mark it, and then on the triple tree over here, where your pivot axis is, you line it up really nicely over here with a stick, and then you mark the ground, and then you figure out how far is your distance in front of the wheel. With a regular bicycle, when I try to configure it exactly the way a bicycle is, all I had was a 1-inch trail. And when I tried to use it, it wasn't enough trail to actually move the wheel. And so in reading about rake and trail, you know, if you figure it out, your wheel is pivoting from the contact patch right here, and then your axis that you're actually trying to pivot on the rake angle over here, if you got just a very small trail, your leverage is very tiny to maneuver the wheel. But if you're out here, it's real easy to maneuver the wheel. On big cruisers, they'll have 5 to 6 inches of trail, and they'll have it very steep angled over here. And what that does is you end up having it just very solid at 70 miles an hour over there. You can let go of the handlebars, no problem, no wobble, but it also makes the steering very heavy. And so that's why they have real wide handles on the cruisers. On the sport bikes, you want to have lower rake angles and smaller trails. And what that ultimately does is gives you much lighter, more responsive handling. But it's also more susceptible to getting that vibration going, and that's why you need to add a dampener to the sport bike sometime because of that. But the more you lean it over like this, also when you lean it over like this and you tilt the wheel, the bike actually drops just a little bit to the side, and so it takes more effort to bring it up to the center. And when you lean it over like this in a free to caster position, it's not nearly as responsive as if it's straight up and down over here. But when you have it straight up and down, you need, I'm finding, about a 2-inch trail. If I go down to a 1-inch, it's just not enough leverage to do it, and it doesn't behave right. I'm at a 2-inch trail right now, and the wheel is behaving reasonably well. But what I'm finding here is that it doesn't feel like it's in balance when I go to a really hard tilt. When I'm here on top about in that angle right there, it feels fine. But when you get it all the way down, you just don't feel like you're perfectly in balance. I didn't feel that when I had it up at straight up and down. That's not bad, but it's not exactly what you want anyway. I can't turn quite as sharply with this. In fact, I had to take the stop out over here because it wasn't allowing the wheel to turn very much, and I removed that, and then I was able to tilt and steer a lot better. It's interesting, before I had the direct connection to the tilt, I just connected the dampener to the frame just to see how it would behave, and it was terrible. It just didn't want to caster, especially when I had it at 20 degrees over here. It was almost unrideable right there because it was wanting to wobble and go wherever it wanted to go, and it was just very slow in moving back and forth. At this angle over here, it does a little better, but you got to get it up to speed before it starts to behave right. And I had to turn the dampener just way down over here. If I put any kind of stiffness on it, it wouldn't steer at all. In this configuration now, I'm able to use the tilt to help push the wheel and guide it where it needs to go. And I've got the dampener cranked all the way up as stiff as it'll go, and I'd like to be able to test it even with a stronger dampener, but this is as far as I can go. And the stronger I make the dampener, the better it's actually handling with this configuration on this wheel. I had to make this configuration over here so that I could tie to the front wheel, and so I used off of a cassette off of a bicycle the smallest cog over here and welded it to a pipe and a fitting over here to hold it. And then this is the front part of the bicycle over here, and I'm using the largest gear cog over here. It's a fair amount of work to get chains and everything in all lined up and everything at weird angles. And then I've got a little arm over here that is now steering the front wheel. I'll shoot some video here of actually driving it, but it handles reasonably well over here.